Welcome to Lifestyle Alchemy. I'm Sydney, medical astrologer, energetic alchemist, and transformation expert. In this podcast, I share what I'm actually living and learning. Sometimes that's decoding my birth chart. Sometimes it's rewiring and regulating my nervous system. Sometimes it's just real talk about what's working and what's not. This show goes beyond astrology. You'll hear about health and wellness, mindset and energy work, manifestation, spirituality, and all the things that help us actually embody who we're meant to be. Let's dive in. Hello, and welcome back to Lifestyle Alchemy. Oh my God, I almost said intuitive alchemy. Forgot the little name change there for a second. Anyway, oh my gosh, how are you guys doing? Okay, so last week was pretty crazy, like energetically and astrologically, and I'm not even going to get into like transits and all of the like Aries was this and Saturn was doing this and like all, I'm not even going to do all that. Because as I've talked about on here before, I really don't like to use astrology like that. I think sometimes after the fact, it can be helpful to be like, oh, okay, well, we had a new moon in blah, 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 and this was doing that, like sometimes that can be helpful to like make sense of whatever kind of experience you had. However, sometimes I feel like we can kind of use that as a crutch or as an excuse or to kind of be in a little bit of a victim mindset, victim mentality. And I'm a huge proponent of not being in any kind of victim mentality ever. And so I certainly don't like to use astrology or human design or numerology or any kind of methodology to kind of put yourself into a position where you're like perceiving yourself to be out of control, because like a lot of people, even on social media, I see this sometimes, like people will talk about astrology as if it has like so much power over them, which like, yes, it has influence. It absolutely has influence over us. However, you don't ever want to give your power away like that. Like you don't want to be like, oh, well, Saturn's in Aries, so my impulse control is absolutely impossible. So like, yeah, you might be a little bit more influenced to be like maybe a little bit, you might be popping off a little bit more than usual, but like you still have a responsibility to fucking control yourself, like it doesn't mean that you can just like go out in public and just like lose your shit on people and like, hit people or whatever. Like you can't, you know what I mean? Like you still have a responsibility to be a decent human being, no matter what is going on in the cosmos or in any other kind of realm that you might be thinking of. So I just don't like to use astrology in the sense of like, always looking up what's happening that week and what planet is doing what and what sign is it in and what might I experience. Like I certainly don't like to do horoscopes in the sense of like, oh, you might meet someone and that you might sign a contract this week and blah, blah, blah. Like fuck that. Like any of that could happen anytime. Like a certain planet doesn't have to be in a certain place for me to like meet someone that might be beneficial for business or, like I don't like to get out to outsource my power like that. And I would encourage you to stop doing that if you do that. And sometimes it's harmless and, sometimes it's fun and cute and everything. But like, I think people take it way too far. And like, I'm saying that as someone who is like very deeply into astrology. I just don't like to use it like that. I don't like it to predict. I don't like to use it to try and predict future events. I don't like to use it to be like, oh, well, that's why I was acting crazy because blah, 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 blah. Like sometimes after the fact, or like if we're having a big full moon or something, I might notice like, oh, wow, okay, I feel like I'm feeling a little bit more emotional than I'm used to, or I feel like the energy is just really heavy. And then that's all. Like, I don't need to look further into it. I don't need to like make all these excuses. I don't need to, just like go down all these rabbit holes and everything. So anyway, that's how I use astrology. But last week, back to what I was saying, like last week was pretty crazy. And I told you guys about the, the caffeine debacle that I was experiencing. And so yeah, I was right. It was the tea, because I feel like so much better, like so much better. However, what I've noticed is I don't know if this is triggered from the tea situation, which if you're listening and you're like, what the fuck are you talking about? Go and listen to last week's episode because I tell the story. I don't want to tell it again. So anyway, yeah, it was the tea, but it seems like also I have just become very much more sensitive to caffeine in general. So that's super cool. Not, like I'm not even a big, like I literally am a one coffee drinker a day, once in a great while two a day, like spread out, not back to back. And I'm finding that even just one sometimes is feeling like too much. And that just kind of sucks for me because I like the taste and the experience and the ritual of it. It's not even like, I really don't even do it for the caffeine. Like some people are like, oh my God, I need at least 1 cup of coffee to function. Like, no, that's not my situation. I genuinely just like it. I like it and I romanticize it, like as I've talked about before, and I'm going to do a whole episode on this soon in the future. But like, I just romanticize my habits and my rituals and like making my coffee is a part of that. Like that's part of my little morning routine. And I like enjoy doing it. We have a nice Nespresso machine. I think it's fun. I think it feels like luxurious and it feels like it's delicious and it's like foamy and frothy and all the good things. So anyway, I'm just having to be careful with that. Because, you know, feeling that crazy, like wiry feeling that you get from being over caffeinated is just not it. Like, it is not a good feeling. Yeah. So anyway, okay. So today what I want to talk about is this is going to be a like major tough love episode. This is going to be spicy Sydney episode, which I feel like I've been doing a decent amount of those lately, and it seems like you guys love it. So I'm here for that because I also love it. But yeah, downloads have been really popping off lately, which is so cool. Like, you know, whenever you start a podcast, you kind of just know that you're going to be talking to kind of like no one for a while. And you just got to stay consistent with it and talk as if you have this big audience, but you don't yet in most cases. And, you know, in the beginning, it was very normal for me to have like days where there were 0 downloads. And, now I never have a day where there's not downloads. And, so I think it's really cool. It's really fun. Seems like you guys are liking the content. What I really want to know is I want to get to know my audience. Like I feel like I know who you guys are, but like also not really. So I would absolutely love it. And I know that this is like something extra that I'm asking you to do, but I would genuinely like seriously love it if you could send me a DM on Instagram. My Instagram is linked in the show notes, so you don't have to like go search for it. Just click the button. And I would love if you could just send me a DM and tell me like what kind of content is your favorite? Like what kind of things that I've talked about on the podcast keep you coming back and listening for more? Like what do you love to hear talked about, taught about? You know, what is your favorite? What are you here for? I really, really want to know that. If you would be willing to share it. And then another thing that you could do that could help this podcast grow even more, which would again mean so much to me, is if you could rate and review the podcast, rating it as in just like putting, 5 stars or whatever. That helps so much. But then what even takes it a step further is if you could literally like write a review, like of what you think about the podcast. And that obviously helps it grow, like it helps it push out to more people and get suggested to more people who would probably be aligned with the content, but maybe they just haven't discovered it yet. So anyway, I know that those are extra things that I'm asking you to do, but I would genuinely be so grateful. Obviously, I'm going to still talk about the things I want to talk about and that I feel are relevant and that I'm going through. I'm going to keep sharing that, but I also would love to talk and teach and just yap about the things that my listeners would love to hear. So I am all ears. Please send me a DM. And also, if you have any specific questions, obviously I don't talk about medical astrology every week. But if you have any specific topics or things astrology wise that you would like to hear kind of a masterclass on or something, I can always do a special episode teaching about something. Or if enough people want to know about it, maybe just do an actual masterclass or a guide or some kind of low ticket thing where if it's really in demand and people are yeah, I need to learn more about this. And it's more in depth than just an hour podcast episode. So, okay, let's get into today. So, okay, back to the tough love. So this has already been something that I have been feeling just from watching stuff like reality TV or just seeing people on social media or, having friends and talking to them about things that are going on in their lives. And so this specifically, I was already kind of feeling into this topic and this kind of idea, I guess you could say. But then last night I was chatting with one of my friends, and I am of course not going to name her. Nobody will ever know who she is, so don't try to figure it out. And this is also as a disclaimer, this is absolutely not me downing her or shit talking her or putting her down in any kind of way. This is a very common thing that people do. And so this is not just her being whatever, but I am inspired by the conversation I was having with her last night over voice note and text. And, okay, so basically I'm going to start with the point, which is get the fuck out of your own way. Okay. I need you to get out of your own damn way. Some of you are your biggest obstacle. And it shows, okay? So that's the tough love. That is the message. If you don't listen to the rest of this podcast, at least the whole point is me telling you, literally get the fuck out of your own way. Because most people are in their own way more than anything else is in their way. Most of us are our biggest obstacles. If you really look at it and you're okay, here's my situation. Here's what I want to happen. What is actually in your way? Is there actually an obstacle other than you? Other than your own limiting beliefs and what you think is possible, or beliefs that you have internalized from whether it's society or your parents or church or, any kind of whatever, limiting beliefs, scarcity, programming. Is there actually a problem, or are you creating a problem? Genuinely, think about it. Okay. So here's the situation. So I was talking to my friend last night, and she is building a business, in the early stages of building a business, and kind of it's not to the point of being monetized yet. It's more in the conceptual phase of building the systems and the programs and everything, and before she is ready to charge or whatever. And so she's doing that, and it takes a decent amount of her time. She also works, obviously, as a lot of us do. And she ultimately has a dream of being a mother and having kids, and obviously having a partner, a husband, and she was kind of expressing that she doesn't know if she wants a boyfriend right now, or she wants to look for a boyfriend right now, even though ultimately that is what she wants. She was kind of doing this whole narrative of like, well, I don't have time for anything other than like what I'm building. And so I'm just like not even interested. I don't want a relationship right now. But like she was also contradicting herself because she was like, yeah, like I do want to get married and I want to have kids and I want to have all of it. I want to have all the things. And like I do just want to find my person that only has eyes for me and blah, 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 blah. But like in the next text, she would be like, but yeah, I'm just like not interested right now. And so I'm like, okay, what is the message? Like, first of all, what is the truth here? You know, because like, I think I know that what you're saying you want is true, but you are creating all of these issues and these scenarios and like you're limiting yourself by, she was saying, you know, like I just don't have time. I can't focus on like putting energy into a relationship and like building my business. And like, what if a man is like intimidated by everything that I'm building and like all of my goals and blah, 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 blah. And so literally like, so I'm listening to her voice note and I'm sitting like on my couch, I'm listening to it and I'm just like, none of the things she's saying are actual problems. None of them are real. None of them are tangible. None of them have happened. She hasn't even met a person. Like this is completely all conceptual. This is all coming from a programming. I would probably call it a societal programming of women can't have it all. Women either have to choose like motherhood and wifehood, or they can be a businesswoman, they can be a boss bitch, but you can't be both. And like, obviously we know that that's not true. Does everybody want that? No. And that's fine. You don't have to want that. But if you do want that, we see so many examples everywhere of women who are doing all of it. And do they have help? Yes, of course they have help. But the point is that if that's what you want and that's like the desire that is placed like in your soul, then you can have that. Okay. And also look at all the people who, you know, have very thriving and successful businesses and they're building them and all of that. And they're doing that while having a romantic relationship, like whether they're married or they're just have a boyfriend or a partner, they live with someone. Like I am an example of that. I am building a business. I am continuing, you know, growing my business and my craft and everything. And I've done all of that. Not a minute of it. I've been single. Like I've been with Corey the whole entire time. And so it's just like, okay, so she's taking on probably some societal programming, some limiting beliefs. Understandable. I'm not faulting her for that, but I'm just pointing out to her, like, okay, first of all, if I said that to you, if I said something like, yeah, like, I don't know, like I want to have a baby, but I just don't know that I can do that and have time still for building my business, growing my business, and have time for being a good partner to Corey. Like if I had said that to her, 1000%, I know that she would have come back at me and been like, whoa, like where did that come from? What kind of a limiting belief is that? Like, why are you limiting yourself like that? I know that she would have responded to me that way. So I'm like, you know, mirroring it back to her. I'm telling her like, I'm curious about where this came from because this doesn't sound like something like you would really buy into or believe. And secondarily, you're literally like 87 steps ahead thinking of all these possible problems of like a man that you haven't even met yet, potentially having an issue or being intimidated by your goals, by your big goals, and that you just like won't have the energy to pour both, you know, to pour yourself into both your business and the relationship and blah, 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 blah. Like all of these things that you're creating, like it's just that you are creating it. None of it's real. None of it has happened. None of it is even about to happen. Like it is all completely made up, created issues in your head. And you're now acting like you're now either taking action or not taking action based on shit you've made up. That is literally not even like in the realm of being about to happen because again, like you haven't even met the person yet. And so it just like made me kind of reflect on how many people do this, whether it's in the context of a relationship or trying to manifest a relationship, or whether it's in career or health or, whatever the topic is, it really doesn't matter. This is completely applicable to absolutely anything. Get the fuck out of your own way. Stop creating all of this resistance and all of these issues that aren't real. Like, do you understand that most times, like, yes, of course, sometimes there are external circumstances that are obstacles or roadblocks, or we might perceive them that way. Like, maybe they're really not, but we perceive them that way in our limited, field of view, field of vision that we have in the 3D world. We perceive things as like, oh man, like that's holding me back. That's keeping me from getting my dream job. That's keeping me from making the amount of money that I want to make, or it's keeping me from meeting my dream person, all of that. But if you like really could zoom out, like be a Sagittarius for a second and like zoom out and see things from a higher perspective. That is like so Sag. And maybe it's because I'm a Sag moon. Like I just have this ability to do this like in every situation. But let's just tune into our Sagittarius energy for a second. Zoom out. See it from a higher perspective. Who is actually holding you back? Because it is, I would bet like 100% of the time it's you. It is you. There might be someone in your life who maybe projects their limiting beliefs on you, or maybe your mom isn't super supportive of whatever you're doing or who you're dating or what you need to, like what you're doing for business, or like there may be naysayers. There may be people in your life who are not like really, pushing you further, and who are maybe not the best company to keep. However, does that really have an impact? I mean, it doesn't if you don't let it, like you don't have to entertain that. You don't have to entertain that. And you can absolutely just keep it plugging along, keep going. Most of the time, it is you who is holding you back because you're internalizing whatever stories, whatever narratives, whatever programming, whatever fears you might have about what might happen. What if I meet someone and then I don't have enough time, and then he gets mad because I don't have enough time, and then he's intimidated because I'm making more money than he is, and then da da da. Like do you see, like, people, I know this sounds like, probably when I'm saying it, you're like, duh, that's a stupid thing to do. But like, this is such a normal thing to do. This is so common. People do this, and they completely talk themselves out of doing the things that they really, really desire to do before they even start, because now they're, 87 steps ahead, creating all these fake problems that literally didn't happen and probably weren't going to happen. And also, just side note about the guy being intimidated or whatever, like, fuck him. If he's intimidated, he is not your guy. If your dream and like your part of your life purpose, your soul purpose is to create this like business that is hugely successful and thriving, and you're like killing it, making so much money and helping so many people, impacting so many people's lives, do you think that your highest level soulmate is a man who is going to be a little bitch and like be intimidated by your goals? And you're like, no, if a man is intimidated, like that is amazing information for me. Like if Corey were to be like, yeah, like once you start making more than me, I am not sure I'm going to be comfortable with that. That is incredible information, or that would be incredible information for me, because I would be like, okay, well, that really sucks that you feel that way, but that shows me that you are not like a match for me anymore. Maybe we were a match for each other, like at this lower level, but like now that I've risen in frequency, this isn't matching up anymore, because any man for me like would be so supportive of my huge goals and like the things that I'm supposed to accomplish in this life. So that's just a side note. Like, don't ever be afraid. Don't ever think that you don't have time or space for a relationship because it might be intimidating to a man. Like, what you have planned. And you're like, what the fuck? Like, don't do that. Don't do that. Like, no. Because for every man that would be intimidated and would be like in his ego and like have, his pride would be bruised or whatever, for every man that would feel that way, I promise you, like, there's another one who would be so proud of you and who would just like love to be by your side and help you as much as he can and support you and just like make your business even better because he's with you. And yeah, so that's just a side note, but like I could say it in so many more ways, but I think I'm just going to keep this to be like really short and punchy this episode. Like, just think about the ways that you are literally limiting yourself just from the stories you're telling yourself or the fears that you're thinking of might come true, or that like are not about to come true, but you're just like, well, what if, and you're just like being your biggest obstacle. Literally, in most cases, you are your biggest obstacle. And we love to outsource, like just like I was talking about with the astrology, like we love to outsource our responsibility and say like, oh, it's the astrology. Oh, it's Mercury retrograde. Oh, it's my boss because they suck and they don't see my potential. Oh, it's my partner because they're lazy and they don't blah, blah, blah. Like we love to blame someone else. And like, I get it. We're human. And sometimes once in a while it is legit. Like once in a while you come across someone and they are very like unreasonable and hard to work with. And you're like, holy shit. But guess what? It is still like, if you stay in a situation for a long time that you can clearly see is not healthy, it's not productive, it's not helping you in any way, it's not good for you, why are you still there? At that point, like that person has shown who they are and how they're going to act, and they've done that consistently, and you're now just staying in agreement with it by staying. So like, let's say in the instance of a really bad boss and an unhealthy work environment, is it your fault that that's happening? Probably not. But is it your fault for staying and just continuing to complain about it and like outsource your power and say, just be talking shit about how much you hate your job and you hate your boss and it's just so unjust and like it's not fair, blah, 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 blah. Like they don't see your value. You haven't gotten a raise in like 3 years. All this stuff, like, is your fault. That is your fault because you don't still have to be there. You can look for another job. Like you can get another job. You don't have to stay anywhere that is not good for you, that you literally hate. You know what I mean? So even in that case where there are other people involved, you are still being your biggest obstacle by staying and agreeing to allow that and, to basically teach people that they can treat you like that and that it's fine because you're just going to stay and you're just going to tolerate it and put up with it. And so I know that this sounds like you might think I'm mean after this episode, and I can assure you that I'm not mean, but as I said, I'm a Sagittarius moon, and it is actually painful for me to have to hear things like that where people are just like ruminating on shit that like literally isn't happening, hasn't happened, it's not about to happen, but you're just creating, you're self-sabotaging, you're creating issues that are not real. You're creating fake issues, conceptual issues, and then just using it as an excuse to not do what you want or to not take action on what you want or move in the direction that you want. And it's essentially keeping you small. It's keeping you small. It's probably keeping you like invisible in a way. And it's keeping you safe in the sense that it's keeping you from potential failure, because obviously that's another thing that we do is we often hold ourselves back whenever we're unsure, if something is going to work out or not. And obviously like anytime you do something, you can't really be sure if it's going to work out. Like when you go on a date, you can't really be sure that it's going to go well and that you're both going to love it and want to go on a second date, but you have to take that chance. Like if you desire a relationship, you have to take the chance of going on the date. Hello, you know, you have to do that. If you want to, if it's your dream to start a podcast, you have to record your fucking first episode. You can't just be like, oh, I just really want to be a podcast. I want to be like in the top 25 most successful podcasts, blah, 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 blah. But like, I don't know. What if nobody listens? Okay, I guess I just won't do it then. What? I know this sounds like obvious and this sounds overly simplified, but like it is. And I think it's harder. We find it easy to pick it out like when it's someone else saying it to us, and it's harder to notice it when it's yourself, you know, like whenever you're the one who is self-sabotaging and limiting and keeping yourself small, it can be tougher to be really honest and to see when you're doing that and you're outsourcing your power and you are standing in your own fucking way. It's easy to see it when it's someone else because you're like not really as invested. I mean, like you're invested if it's your friend, but like not as much as you are if it's you, like if you're the one experiencing it, obviously. And you know, you're just if it's you have bias. You're not objective when it's you. And so what I'm offering or what I'm suggesting is that you know, like I said, channel your inner Sagittarius. Even if you don't have any Sagittarius placements, I just need you to zoom out and I need you to like look at yourself and your choices and the things that you're moving on and not moving on, not taking action on. And I want you to see like, how are you being the obstacle? Because I promise you, probably 9 times out of 10, if not 10 times out of 10, it is only you that's the obstacle. Everything is figure outable, okay? Every fucking thing is figure outable. You might have to be a little crafty. You might have to be a little creative. You might have to have some other people help you potentially. You might have to change some things up to make room or to make something fit. But there is a way. If you feel like it's something that you truly desire, you don't desire that for no reason. You desire that because you're meant to have that and you're meant to learn something from that. And maybe it's a part of helping you become who you're really here to be in this life. And why would you cheat yourself out of that because you're just standing in your own fucking way? Like that is just the most helpless and like silly thing, but it's also not helpless because this is something like I always like whenever I discover that I am actually the problem, because then guess what? I have full control over fixing it. I don't like when something else or someone else is the problem. I don't like to be waiting on someone else or like to be at the mercy of someone or something else. No, because then I don't have full control over it. If I'm the problem, that is best case scenario because I have full control over fixing that, solving that, readjusting, realigning, and getting back on track. So while this episode, you might feel a little bit attacked. I mean, that's certainly not my intention, but you know, if you need some tough love, you need some tough love, like if the shoe fits. But you know, I want you, if you're like listening and you're like, shit, no, I am totally in my way. I am totally just making up all these stories of things that could go wrong or whatever, the things that I'm scared of and all these potential problems. And then I'm not taking action where I want to because of those things that aren't even real. If you're realizing that, like, good for you. Good for you for being honest with yourself. And now, again, you are the one who can fix that. If you are the one that's in your way, guess what? You can move the hell out of the way. That's really convenient. So that's what I have for you today. Like I said, I'm going to keep this short. I mean, it's still like over 30 minutes, but that's a short one for me, as you know, if you've been here for a minute. So yeah, that's what I'm going to leave you with. Get the fuck out of your own way. Stop being your own obstacle. Stop being your biggest obstacle. There are sometimes obstacles that you don't have control over once in a while, not super often, because usually you can find a way around it. Like I said, everything's figure outable, but stop being your biggest obstacle. Okay. All right. Send me a DM. Let me know what you think, what you want to hear more of. If you have any specific questions you'd like me to answer on the podcast, join the waitlist for the Reemergence Protocol, link in the show notes. And also, again, still, my medical astrology health blueprints are majorly on sale right now. So you can get them for like an extremely low price. So if you are interested in that, go ahead and grab that. Again, link in the show notes. Rate and review the podcast if you are enjoying it. I would love it so much. And I hope you have an amazing rest of your week. I will talk to you next Thursday.